There are a lot of fun builds to try and to see the potential for what's possible. For poison builds, there are Plague Javazons, Rabies Druids, and a Poison Nova Necro, to name a few. But there's also a build that brings a new twist to dealing poison damage. A meme build that is so expensive, I had to use Ginger Gaming Mentor's item pack with Proner's D2R Hero Editor to make this happen. The link to Ginger Gaming Mentor's video discussing both are in the description below. In today's video, I'm going to go over the build for the Shaman Barbarian, the most expensive, toxic meme build in the game. I'm going to go over the attributes, the skill tree, the gear for my character and my mercenary, and afterwards I'm going to show you guys some gameplay so you could see this build in action. But do keep in mind that when it comes to this build, there are different ways you can be able to gear the character depending on your needs, whether you're trying to go for maximum DPS, you're trying to do a magifying character, or a hybrid of the two. Just keep in mind when it comes to looking at the gear choices that I'm going to be choosing, that you can choose alternative gear depending on the demand that you have for your build. Before we actually get into the build, the comment shout out for this video is going to be all of you that have been enjoying either of my new Mosaic Phoenix Strike Assassin build guides. Both videos will be in the description below, and especially those who went to build one for themselves and enjoyed it. I was in the same boat as you, but make sure your graphics card can handle the light show. If you saw my video showing using Flickering Flame and Griffen's Eye, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. For the attributes, he has enough strength to equip his belt, which is the highest strength requirement of his gear. Then for dexterity, I have enough points to hit 8,000 attack rating with the primary skill to deal damage, and this gives him close to, if not, 90% chance to hit area for most enemies, and then dump the remaining points into vitality, and once bowed up, still has over 3,000 health. He also has capped resistances, so his survivability isn't much of a cause for concern. For the skill trees, starting with the Warcry skill tree, I'm maxing Battle Orders and Battle Command to help with survivability for myself and the Mercenary. Moving to the combat skills, I maxed out Whirlwind as this is our main skill to deal damage. And before anyone mentions it, I do understand that poison damage doesn't stack in the sense of with each hit adding more damage, but rather resets the timers for the max damage. But of the different skills to deal damage he would do, Whirlwind performed the best and can affect the most enemies per attack. Poison damage is a very complex elemental damage to comprehend, but to put it lightly, when you see the items later that I'm using, especially the charms, the poison damage stacks. The time duration is summed up and then divided by the items giving poison damage. And even things socketed into items count as their own separate items, creating an average for poison over time. Again, it's complicated, but if you want to understand it better, I have Macro Bio Boy's video discussing it in detail down in the description below. Lastly, for the combat masteries, I have maxed out Mace Mastery as it actually does help with the wand's attack rating. Then 1 point into Iron Skin, Natural Resistance, Increased Stamina, and the remaining points go into increased speed, as this is not a teleporting character, so increasing his movement when running is important. For his gear, starting from the top, he has a plain Fanged Helm socketed with 3 5/5 poison facets. The amulet is Mars for the plus to skills, slight boost to attributes, and 30 all res. The body armor is Bramble for the boost to poison skill damage, all the help with mana as this build is very mana hungry, boost to fire res, and a large boost to poison resistance. The weapons are dual death webs, both socketed with a 5/5 poison facet. Each one has +2 to all skills, -55 to enemy poison resistance, +5 to poison damage, and 12 to mana after each kill. The boots are silk weaves for the faster run walk and the boost to mana. The first ring is a rare ring with attack rating and lightning resistance. The belt is Trang's belt for the cannot be frozen, as well as the boost to life and mana. The second ring is a magic ring with strength and all res. The gloves are Trang's gloves for the boost to poison damage and cold resistance. And pairing Trang's gloves with Trang's belt helps to give us fireball, but it's more for style points and brings this build closer to being a fallen shaman. On switch, I'm using dual plagues for the low resistance procs to have our poison damage do even more damage. I'm prioritizing poison damage over IAS. Again, this is a theory crafted build, and all I need to deal is 1 hit and the poison damage should be able to kill most enemies quite quickly, which is why I'm using Trang's gloves instead of an alternative such as laying of hands for the IAS boost. Leave your thoughts or ideas of what could work better down in the comment section below. For the inventory, I have my cube, torch, Annie, and all the small charms are 451 poison damage small charms, as well as a poison sunder charm. For the additional stats, he has 30% regenerate mana. Again, this build is very mana hungry. 37 to life after each kill, 29 to mana after each kill, plus 94% to poison skill damage, and negative 125% to enemy poison resistance. For the Mercenary, he has a plain Fanged Helm socketed with 3 5/5 poison facets, Bramble for the body armor, and his dual wielding Plague for the lower resistance procs. His helm is the lowest tier of the type of helm, as well as the base that I chose to put Bramble in has less defense than a more ideal base that I could have used, because I want him to be hit and to proc lower resistance. But I also wanted his defense high enough to not feel that he's constantly at risk of dying if I chose an even weaker base to use. And despite that I have Plague on my own character, he's the primary source of low resistance, but I do use them as well in case he dies. Now that we've discussed the attributes, the skill trees, the gear for my character and my mercenary, let's go ahead and check out this build in action to see how well it actually plays out. The playstyle of this build centers around find a mob, whirlwind through them, and keep it moving to the next one, as it doesn't take more than 1 or 2 hits for the majority of monsters to end up dying, and if anything, the Mercenary will come in and clean up the mess of anything that doesn't immediately die. The places I enjoyed most trying this build out were the pits, stony tombs, and even the ancient tunnels. It's not necessary to have lower resistance proc, it does take your damage further, however it's understandable for many to not want to just stand around and wait for either yourself or the mercenary to proc lower resistance. But for places, such as in the Moo farm, it will help to kill them much faster as they're much tankier than other monsters as far as their health pools. You can opt for pre-buffing, such as with Treachery for the Fate proc, as yes, your resistance is already capped, but the physical damage reduction can help as the Bramble armor has low defense for when you want to self-proc low resist from switching to Plague, but it's not mandatory. But if you don't mind spending the bit of extra time to do so, it can pay off with helping increase survivability that much more. One of the downsides to this build is your death webs will need to be repaired often, so on top of being really expensive for the items that you'd use, you'll need to have a good amount of gold to keep the durability up. That, or you can cube repair them if you have an abundance of support runes to use. And that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to see if this build would be something that you would be interested in going into the future. And if anything, at least just enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of content, want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out.
Come on. Come on. Come on, then. There you are. There you are.
And if you like this video, please let me know by leaving a like. It really is appreciated to be able to help my channel to grow. And if you want to see more of my Diablo 2 Resurrected content, make sure to click the card in the corner up above to check out my Diablo 2 Resurrected playlist with a lot of videos already in it, with a lot more coming in the very near future. Other than that, I hope you guys are staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.